Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ralph Casals, your town manager for town of Cutler Bay. This is my open mic night number 1. So that means there's going to be a second one. It's going to be in August, and we'll get that in a little bit. But before we start, I want to do some quick introductions. The great audience here for the folks viewing at home. We have a great audience here, great turnout. I'd like to recognize first our Vice Mayor, Michael Callahan, there. Hi, Vice Mayor, thank you for taking time. We also have Councilmember Richard Ramirez as well here in the audience. And I know that the rest of the council are watching on Zoom. So again, another commercial plug. If you can't make it here on time, please, just go on to our website and join via Zoom. I also have some of my technical support people here. So we have our town clerk, Mauricio Molino. There he is. And Rod Gibson, our communications manager. So they're going to be, kind of behind the scenes, letting me know when there's some online questions and what have you. So let's just get right into it. So let me just see if I can get the clicker going. All right, let's see here. Okay, so, as I mentioned, my open mic night number 1. And some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, if the clicker works. Okay, some of the topics that we're going to talk about, I always call it what's hot, right? What's hot, in terms of the community. We know we monitor social media. We just get the phone calls and just go into different meetings. Legacy Park, our municipal complex, right off of Old Cutler Road. We're going to talk about that. South Place City Center, the redevelopment of Southland Mall. The town's very aggressive activity acquiring property along Old Cutler Road. The 53-acre South Florida Water Management District property that we received the grant for, the bird sanctuary. County projects, again, this one could have probably been up top, right? What's hot? The Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, 87th Avenue Bridge. Some of the town projects that we have going around town. I know that if you're living through it, you're living through the detours. We're going to talk about that as well. And upcoming events and news. Okay, so let's, if we go back to just to the regular screen. And here, folks, we're going to have to put on my glasses so I can read some of the stuff, right? So in terms of hot topics, some of the things that we know that if you've been following us on town council meetings that we have are the Miami-Dade County wastewater treatment plant. Okay, we had a major issue with our neighbors from the Lakes by the Bay, Outer Bay Shore, and the rest of the community where there was a big stench coming out, odor, right? It's a wastewater treatment plant. So at that point, what we did, we started investigating, and we actually had an on-site meeting with the mayor and Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, who's been very active with us, as well as Mayor Levine Kawa's office. We actually visited the plant, myself and the mayor and Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, her staff, on April 5th. And yes, it does smell. And part of the problem is that's happened is that the way the treatment plant operates, they collect all the biosolids and they spread them out. I guess the best way to explain it, like several football fields, and they spread out. It comes out to almost like a black muck. About 2 years ago, the FDEP, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, changed the permitting that at one point the county was hauling 15 huge semis of the dry muck because they can't haul it wet because it'll drip all the way through to different facilities throughout the county, different farms and different facilities. Well, the permitting requirement changed. This is the information, by the way, we're getting from Miami-Dade Water Sewer Department. The treatment plant is not owned or maintained by the town of Cutler Bay. And they went from 15 trucks per day to only hauling 1. So what happens? All this black muck biosolids piles up. More pile, more smell. More rain, it's wet. It's wet, it can get hauled. Keeps piling up. So that's when we started doing a deep dive into the county's process. And that's where we actually found out that there's 3 treatment plants in Miami-Dade County. One in North Dade, one in Central Dade, which is Key Biscayne, and one in South Dade. Well, the North Dade plant and the Central plant have deodorizers, misters. to keep the smell down. The South Dade plan didn't. So that's box number one. We say, why? It doesn't have it. Two, we started then investigating why can't the county start hauling away more items under some type of emergency procurement order that they have. And they started doing that. There was a little bit of price collusion, we think, from the county standpoint, from the haulers, because all the haulers said, yeah, I could do it. The next day come in, I can't do it. And then Bob comes in, so I could do it for double the price. So there was a price collusion there. But again, that's the county's problem at that point. We're worried about our residents' quality of life that live in Cutler Bay. Immediately thereafter, we contacted Miami-Dade County DERM. We contacted Miami-Dade County DERM, their air quality control division. Miami-Dade County DERM is the environmental police, and they will enforce it upon their own departments as well. We want to make sure that the air quality was safe. Common sense, we know it smells. It stunk. We were out there, right? We want to make sure that it was safe. Immediately thereafter, we then invited the assistant director for Miami-Dade County Water and Sewer Department, the DERM director, in front of the town council on April 17th. They made a presentation. We recorded the presentation, and through our communication manager, we pushed it out to our social media pages, so that way the residents know exactly what the council knows of the explanation. I could tell you that just, I think it was this past weekend, they purchased through an emergency procurement, the misters to put into the biosolids field. I call it the black muck, right? And now they are starting to haul at a pace of 30 trucks per day. They're actually hauling it all the way up to Clewiston. We didn't care. We just get out of here. Another thing we found out, and you'll see in the presentation that they provided to the council, was that this plant was accepting 70 trucks per day, oil, grease, and fats. That, the septic trucks that come in and clean out the restaurants, right? The only place you could come to, and I use the example, I have Ralph's Bistro in Sunny Isles, and it goes from Sunny Isles all the way to South Dade. This was the only plant that accept those. So, okay, we understand that's the only process that they have, but the county was also allowing 70 trucks from outside Miami-Dade County to dump in this plant. That kind of adds to the issue, right? So is it getting better? Yes. Is it perfect? No. But I think they're starting to catch up with the biosolids, and the fact that they have the misters there. I think that we got everybody's attention with that. Again, as I mentioned, it was our council, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, and Mayor Cava's office, and obviously the Water and Sewer Department, directors here. So that's one of the, I call it the hot topics. Second hot topic, I'm sure that you folks have been reading, has been about the Homeless Trust purchase of La Quinta. All right. Okay. So I see some folks' heads nodding here. So it's look, we're hitting the hot topics here, right? We're hitting the hot topics. So I can tell you, we've been very adamant in the media, as well as the council workshops that we've had with the Homeless Trust, that we still feel to this day that the La Quinta is not the best site for the Homeless Trust for what they're trying to do in terms of having, try to curb the homelessness and have tenants there. We've had the executive director, Mr. Ron Book, in this very room, this very podium, presenting to the town council. He stated his position. We stated our position. We feel that there's probably different alternative sites. So a little bit of history. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, who represents our district, said, you know what? Let's put a pause on it. Let's have a 60-day plan that Mayor Cava's office will say, let us know if there's any alternative sites within. In fact, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins said within my district, right? So we're waiting for the plan to come out. And I think it was on April 21st, sorry. Yeah, April 19th. No, April 9th. See, I'm not using the glasses. Sorry. April 9th. Okay, so on April 9th, the report was published from Mayor Cava, and it's a public record, that said that they have studied different sites within Commissioner Cohen's district. There's maybe some available sites that are owned by the county, but based on the cost to rehabilitate, convert, as I call it, the 107-room La Quinta Hotel, or building a new one, county administration feels that this is still the best deal. We don't agree. And you'll see it on the report, that they're using a cost of like maybe $650,000 to rehab 107 units. Yeah. I know, but they can't hear you they can't hear you. I know, we've done the math, believe me, we've done the math. We've done the math, and we feel that that number is very low. The asking price is 14 million, then plus the conversion. So we know that there's some issues there. So that report just came out. We're working closely with our county commissioner, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, questioning, the dollar amounts. We think it's very low compared to our own professionals that are looking at, because you're going through a conversion of a hotel room to a permanent living facility. That's the kind of stuff that my building official and Fair Housing Act and those folks are dealing with right now. So that will continue. It's not a done deal as has been reported. Our position still stands clear that we feel that La Quinta property can be better served if it's completely redeveloped for even more housing. That's been our position. You've seen the mayor on the local media stating the same thing. So it's one of those that we agree to disagree. And we had an opportunity here for the Homeless Trust to provide their comments, and we had a standing room only in this big room here, so we had that situation there too. So I know that there's going to be some questions, but they can't hear you at home. So if you want to just maybe come up to or I could probably repeat it from home. Sorry, can't hear you. What? Oh, okay. When?
Why are the commissioners voting on it today?
Okay, so okay, so the question is, why is this being voted by the Board of County Commissioners? The Board of County Commissioners. Okay, so it's our understanding that the reports, the April 9th report that was provided by Mayor Cava's office, is going to be on the May 7th, okay, Board of County Commission agenda. The report. But there's a report. They're going to discuss the report. Okay, it's our position that there's still a land transaction that needs to occur. The report just says that there's no alternative sites. I'm sure that Commissioner Cohen-Higgins is going to have some thoughts and opinions and views about that. And there's going to be hopefully some deliberation about the report. You still have on the other side, the actual business side of the transaction, right? The purchase of Miami-Dade County purchasing La Quinta, okay? That it's just a report. It's just a report. It's our understanding that the report is going to be the only thing on the agenda. It's not our agenda. We will continue to monitor it because there's still the business side of it, of the purchasing the hotel, the hotel. So again, we're going to continue to monitor that as well. Right now, the only thing we know for sure that is going to be May 7th, we'll have the report on there. Yes, ma'am.
At the last meeting, when Mr. Book was here, and I made a suggestion which he refuted, but he was wrong about his numbers because I've done a lot of research since. I made a suggestion that since the county owns a lot of land, vacant land, that perhaps they start looking at some tiny homes. I went and I found completely furnished tiny homes for $65,000 a unit. That's one and some even 2-bedroom. One and some 2. These apartment developers are going to have 1. Okay.
Okay, but ma'am, if I can have, I got to memorize this question for folks at home. They cannot hear what you're saying. Thank you. I got a good memory, but that long of a memory.
Slow. So
It's okay. I'm even slower. Go ahead.
okay, so
Started from the beginning.
okay, in the beginning. Well, first of all, my name is Sally Throckmorton, and I've been a resident of Cutler Bay since 1965. I would like to mention that, first of all, in the article, in the letter they sent to the county, it mentioned that they wanted a cost of $325 to $425 per square foot. That was what their goal was. That was on there. They've been given $20 million by the county, and by grants, another $43 million in addition to build and find housing for the homeless. Let's start with that. So my suggestion was, there's a area they looked at was 3.3 acres. They could get about 46 houses on 3.3 acres, according to what building and zoning will allow. $65,000 a house. So a whole lot less than what they're looking at. And they also think that they're going to redo these by $6,775 per unit to retrofit places that, by the way, have no kitchen. Has anybody ever looked at a kitchen price? So my point is, I think they're missing the boat somewhere. I think their numbers, my comment from beginning was, I think their mind was already made up. Don't confuse them with the facts. That's exactly what I thought the night he was here and argued with everybody, things he didn't even know people were going to say. How would he know that off the top of his head? That's BS. Okay, that's number one. Now I have two more things later, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you. I love the energy. Thank you. I get kind of lonely if I'm the only one talking, so thank you for that. So thank you for the comments. As I mentioned before, the town council, we also have the same concerns. You know, so again, a report's a report, a number's a number until you start diving into those things. And that's what we're doing now, you know, hand in hand with the county commission. So we hear you, we have the same concerns.
It's a quick question.
Okay, again,
Would we just, it's a quick question. Would we step in and try to buy the property?
okay, the question is, can we, the town, go buy the property? If I had $14 million laying around, sure. But, you know, we don't. We don't.
Fought for so many things.
I understand we fought for some of the things. You'll see me later on for that. Was that one of the options that's way out here, for example, in terms of option, right? We even question if it's even worth 14 million. So I'm not even gonna start at that number. Okay, I'm gonna buy for what? Run a hotel? I'm not gonna run a hotel. I'm not in the business. We're not gonna be in the business of that. So we understand that. In fact, we're trying to twist it around a little bit more, saying this property, one, was never for sale. That, right, number one. Number two, we know that property is not the highest and best use. The own vision from the residents from 2002, before we were born as a municipality, was the Cutler Bridge charrette. It's on our webpage, look it up. It showed the vision for the entire Southland Mall, the property that we're in now, and everything else, right? That area was never going to be as part of a hotel. Our position has always been with the homeless trust, with the media, is that this area right here, one of my little topics coming up later, commercial plug, Southland Mall, it's going to be a $1.5 billion redevelopment. It's happening now. You see that happening now. Sears, Kmart's going to get knocked down here pretty soon, right? It's not like it's coming, it's on a shelf somewhere. So we're saying that this is not the highest and best use, because even if the point that the county buys it, it's always going to remain that two-story versus having the potential of being completely redeveloped. So we understand that. So that's always been our position, saying this could be redeveloped. Nobody had the opportunity to redevelop because the for sale sign never went up. That's been our position. So going back to your question, it's not our intention to buy for that amount anyway.
We understand that.
All right.
The sheriff doesn't want to have almost building. We need to find a solution.
100% agree. And our track record, and you'll see our track record, the same way that the residents said we don't want to have 109 units on 87th and Cutler Road, and we stepped up and wrote a check for $8.5 million. And now it's going to be what? Not 109 units. It's going to be a park. Same way we stepped up and bought 16 acres for Legacy Park. That was going to be earmarked for 480 units. And we stepped up and bought the property. Same way we did the same way about 3-4 years ago on Cutler Road and 184, the 8.5 acres, that was going to be 29 McMansions. Yes, I call them McMansions, 5,500 square foot houses, 2 stories on Cutler Road. Guys, check it out. The ones on Cutler Road right now, and half the size. And we bought that for $8.5 million. All of a sudden, we bought we're the biggest property that's on Cutler Road, 28 acres. And we took away 600 something units of development rights. So we've done that track record before, but again, this property never went on the market. So that's something, again, part of our argument. So we're going to keep up that fight as well.
If I may,
Yeah.
It's not really, we understand the number.
Mhm.
What about the safety, the cost of our safety? That's
Right.
definitely.
Well, I think the cost of your safety, cost of quality of life and perception. I mean, I add more to that as well, right? So,
If I
No.
may,
Mhm.
I was on a call where another man lit another man on fire in a parking lot.
Yep,
in our community.
I agree.
And I'm sorry,
No, I agree. I agree. Those, and
there was a homeless individual. We're
That-
a working community, our families leave during the day. We're leaving our, you know what I mean? It's a-
those are all part of, those are all part of our arguments with that in terms of what the location's gonna be. You know, going back to the original question, how come it can't be where if it's a county-owned property, they could build something? Those are some of the things that we're also talking about too, maybe building from scratch instead of doing a retrofit.
What we need is information. Who was going? Do they have addiction problems? Do they have mental problems? Where are they coming from? Are they
Right.
coming from Aventura? Are they coming from Miami Beach?
Right.
Why are they coming? That's what we want.
And those are the same questions we want to talk about as well. Well, we'll have to get it,
That's why we want you to get that information
and
before May 7th.
well, we don't even know that yet. That's why part of the questions that we're raising with the homeless trust through the county commissioners is get more information. What we have is the only thing that we have from the report. We know that we have a letter from the homeless trust saying that they want to commit to 60% seniors. In this very podium, right behind me, right here, the council said, make it 100. Can you commit to 100? They said 60. You know, so that's been our position. You know, if you're gonna sit there and compare it to some other locations that are like in North Miami Beach, that's 100%. Make it 100%. Make it 100% for seniors. You know, so that's the kind of stuff that we are going through because we don't even know that if you ask any one of my council members here, they'll say they might have five different responses because there's not a definitive in writing saying this is the plan. That's our issue. Besides the numbers, we didn't, you know, we're not even getting to the numbers. We're like, what's going to be there? What's going to be housed there and what have you? Put that in writing so that we know what we're up against. Because right now, the only thing I can tell you that we have in writing, committing for 60%, 55 and over. Okay, what's the other 40? And that's not even a deal, but that's not even a no-brainer for us because we're saying if you say that it's going to be for seniors, then you make it 100% and you make it as a covenant.
Is there an intent to buy it on that property?
Is there an intent to what?
Intent to purchase? Has the county signed with an intent?
There is a letter of intent.
So that, I mean.
There is a letter of intent. Now, as going back to the original, going back to the original question is we know that on May 7th, it's going to be discussed report. There's still the business side of it, right? That we have not seen the business side. We just know from the purchase price, there's a letter of intent for 14 million, but it's going to be more than 14 million. It's going to be 14 million plus rehabbing and fair housing, you know, all those other issues that we have there as well.
Drain of public resources.
All those issues. So those are all the questions I could tell you that we've had been in constant communication with our county commissioner because she's going to be one of 13 up there that are going to be asking for that. And we're obviously going to be at that same meeting as well. So we're putting up the fight. You know, we're going to keep putting that fight, asking the same questions because at the end of the day, just like you're a town manager and our council members that are here, we have to be accountable for all the taxpayers' dollars. Folks, those are our taxpayers' dollars too. You know, that money as well. Hi. Okay, can you come up to the podium? Because again, the folks at home, I got a whole bunch of folks at home. If it's a simple question, I could probably ad lib and repeat it, but statements. Thank you, ma'am. Hi, Elizabeth.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people have questions and curiosities as to who is going to get placed in this housing project. And the Homeless Trust website does have their screen-in policy listed, posted on their website. And it says that they have to screen in and they're not allowed to deny residents or applicants who test positive for screening. They can have nonviolent criminal histories. They can have eviction for non-payment of rent, collection for utilities or rents. And they can also, let me see, I have it posted here. They could have non-employment for less than 3 months, current alcohol use, and they do not have to agree to participate in behavioral health and case management services. So that's some of the criteria that says that they do have to screen them in and they cannot be denied admission for having that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that information. Again, that's just like you mentioned, right off their website, but we want to make sure specifically, I call that generic term. We want to be specifically what's going here. I mean, that's just, I understand that, that's from their website, so.
Then when they get caught, they don't get evicted, right?
Well, that's part of our process, the questions that we've asked as well, so. Right. Yes,
I would like, when you go to the meeting next time, because I watched it on TV and there wasn't very much representation. Susie Lord didn't say nothing, Tim did the minimum. I'd like for you guys to speak up and give the facts, like Elizabeth did, or Sally. I don't want to Susie Lord to sit there and go, or Tim, give a little speech, we live here all our lives. I'd like you to go, somebody.
but
I know you're trying
no, but I'm saying I'm confused. Which meeting are you talking about? Because I've been to all of them. Which one are you talking about? Okay, but which meeting did we go that somebody didn't say nothing?
Much better.
In December.
Yeah, have the women go up there and talk, they have this person talk.
Okay.
But we didn't talk.
At the Board of County Commission meeting, you mean? Okay, okay, guys, I thought you were talking about this, the one we had here. Okay, I just want to make sure.
What's going on? Let's put it, let's put it next to Ronco. Let's put it next to Mayor Cava's house.
Right.
She doesn't even want a bridge.
So I could tell you that we'll be well represented on May 7th and as well as your county commission, we well briefed as well, because he has those same concerns as well. We will have people speaking up for that now that we see that it's moving forward. Yes, ma'am.
On our side.
Okay, so the question is, again, for the viewers at home, right? Because I have a bunch of folks at home too. Are there any other entities that are working with us, right? To support the town's position? Yes, and I say yes. When I say entities, I think it's a grassroots effort. You can see everything that's being online on social media, you know, as well as some of the other folks that have been very vocal on social media there. But can I point at another, say, organization? No, it's our fight. It's our fight. That's why you have local representation with the council, and you also have the residents. So fight it as well, you know, the mall people have voiced concern. They will be there on May 7th as well. Oh, okay, yes.
Is there something that we as a community individually can do to
Okay.
help you?
Okay, great question, Kevin. I think the question was, is there something that we, the community, right? Because again, it's our fight, right? Can do. I said, absolutely. One, voice your concerns, opinions, and what have you to your county commissioners and the Board of County Commissioners. You know, number one. Number two, if you're available on May 7th, show up. Right? You know how this works. You know how this works. It's packed the council chamber, but one side and the other side can't come in, right? We all know the game. We've been there, done that, right? So let's figure this out and voice your concerns. Emailing the county commissioner, emailing the mayor's office, emailing the board of county. Who is making the decision? This council's not. This council's not. Because I know I see a lot of emails to this council. Hit the same email to the Board of County Commissioners. Those are the ones that are going to be voting on, discussing the plan. But then remember, I told you there's a business side to it as well. That's our taxpayers' dollars as well. Voice your concerns that way. And I know that we have a lot of folks in the audience here. And I thank the folks that take their time and write those emails. But when you hit that send button, not just to our council, as well as the Board of County Commissioners. So great question. Yes, Barbara. The question is, can the town provide a bus for ride downtown? That's a good question. I have to get back to you on that. I mean, no, I'm not gonna answer it yet. You know, I just don't know. I mean, the worst thing I want to do is have that bus and have it full, right? So I think if there's enough momentum, that's something that we will certainly look at, as well. It's not, but that's a good question. Well, I understand. I understand. So I know that we're still on this topic, so you can see what's hot, right? So at least I hit the right topics, right? I'm gonna go back to Rod, not Ron, Rod Gibson, our communication manager. Rod, are there any questions that we have online so far? No? Oh, okay. All right, good. All right. I love it. So again, now we know what the game plan is for La Quinta. Again, it's something that we need everyone involved, everyone involved and go from there. Legacy Park, our 16-acre legacy park that we have there on the screen. That is, so folks, so you know, it's right next to the new Publix. If you've seen the new Publix on Cutler Road, right next to the new Publix, see a little black fence, right? That's 16 acres there. There you see the layout there. What you see there is the actual layout for the buildings. I don't know if we have the graphic that shows the buildings. All right, go for it. So if, as you know, it's 16 acres. We made the commitment that 4 acres of it's going to be, I call it the municipal buildings, pool, community center, parking garage, police department. The remaining 12 acres will be, we call open space, you know, like a park, amphitheater, and what have you, okay? So some of the things that we have highlighted there, the first one there you see is very important to us, near and dear, is the community center. Okay, it's going to be a community center there for everyone to use of all ages. Next to the community center, we're going to have a pool. You see the brown area around, there's a little nice pool deck, and you have a pool building there. Next, we have their town hall. We have our municipal town hall there. It's going to be 2 stories. Then we have our police department as well. It's going to be, you know, 2 stories as well. Then we have right there, that one is a 300-car parking garage. So that way, obviously, people could park there for special events and the community center and the pool. The other one that we just highlighted there is our stage. It's going to be a permanent stage. As you know, we love to throw parties, and we love that, you know, because we have a lot of residents that attend those. And then this kind of almost going to be like the look as you drive up to it right there. As well, and just some of the renderings that we have from our architects. And then we also have, as part of our commitment, in fact, it was, you know, thank you, Vice Mayor, for this idea of having different milestones, right? That we have the milestones there. So we're holding ourselves accountable. What's the next box we're going to check? So if you go out to the site, you'll see the big signs with big check marks. What are we doing? What are we accomplishing? And where we're heading. So we're doing that. What else we have? Okay, so let's go back to the check boxes there. Okay, so on that one there, let me tell you a lot of things that have been going on behind the scenes. So the buildings inside the police department, the community center, and the town hall, what I did as your town manager, I made sure that every employee got involved, from Deborah and Maria in the front desk, right, to each department head, to design how the interior is going to look to make sure that it's functional. I love our design team, but I want to make sure the folks that use it every day understand how it's going to flow. So we had all the employees go through at least 2 rounds of it. So I can tell you, I'm glad to say that the internal flow, offices and departments, how it's laid out, that has already been completed, to the point that now on May 15th, our next council meeting at 5 o'clock in this very same room, we're going to have the design team come and show the council the actual outside look. I call it the shell, right? As you recall, when we had the University of Miami go through our process, and thank you, because we received over 985 comments and suggestions from the community, which actually saved us money because we handed that over to our design teams. They're not starting from scratch. To figure out what's our look. Is our look going to be like, say, the Performing Arts Center glass? Is it going to look like Vizcaya? Is it going to look like the Publix? Is it going to look like Homestead City Hall? The outside shell. So those are the kind of things, we got that feedback. So we're using that feedback that we received from the comments from the residents, not to be ignored. And the consultants will come in and kind of show the council, look, here's some of the looks that we have come up with based on those suggestions to see what the shell is going to look like. That's one of the important decisions we need to make now, because that's going to be our house. You know, what's the shell going to look like? You know, the architectural look. So that's something, again, May 15th at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a council workshop just dedicated just for that. You just come in, you just watch, you know, online via Zoom. So that's moving along. Also, another milestone that we reached is, if you've been watching our meetings, we actually selected the construction company. And I'm sure people are going to say, wait, you selected the construction company? I thought design wasn't done yet. Well, the reason why we select the construction company now is we want to make sure that the construction company is monitoring the design team, right? Because as you know, the designers will design, and then wait a minute, how much is it going to cost? Right? So we want to make sure the construction company is literally side by side, as I mentioned to the council, with the calculator. right? You have the person on this cubicle, the visionary, then I got the contractor saying, okay, go back because we only have $37 million. Let's figure this out, you know? At the end of this process, you'll hear me say at the council meeting, GMP, right? Not the national stuff, right? It's guaranteed maximum price. That at the end of this process, the contractor with the designer, obviously with the town representatives as well, will say, yes, this could be built for $37 million. We guarantee it, right? And that way you avoid a lot of these, classical, change orders or what have you, right? Because the traditional way of doing it would be that the design team, designs it and then just kind of puts it out the bid. And they go, oh, sorry, this is going to come back at X number. So we want to make sure early on that we have them side by side. So we have selected the contractor now who's going to build it 2 years from now. So that's something that we want to make sure that we're all accountable for that. Okay, so next one is going to be South Place City Center. Okay, this is the redevelopment of Southland Mall. So there you have on the graphic, what it's kind of like it's going to look like. And I'm sure you've seen these type of graphics before. As we mentioned over and over again, it's going to be a $1.5 billion economic impact, not just for Cutler Bay, as the mayor mentioned, it's for the South Dade area. This is a direct result of the charrette. Charrette's a fancy word saying planning phase, right? Remember, as I mentioned, we did that, the community did that 2002 before we were even born as a municipality. So we want to make sure that all those elements are there. So there you can see kind of the layout, what it's going to be. Obviously you have the graphics there, the number of jobs is going to create. We're really excited about it because there's going to be housing is going to be there. There's going to be a grocery store there. There's going to be a medical arts building, and as well as more and more retail as well, for that. So that's something that we're really excited about. As I mentioned, Sears, you can see Sears has already been demolished. Once Ross gets relocated into the mall, the old Kmart building will get demolished. And that'll be like phase one, with the first, units being built there, as well as a lot of the restaurant entertainment area there as well. So that's something that we're really excited about now. So I know we have a question from the audience. Yes, ma'am. Do I know what? Well, I could tell you that the grocer that signed the lease is Presidente. Okay, but again, I've heard that I've heard that reaction before, and I can tell you that it's not going to be your traditional, store. Again, I don't work for them all. I don't work for Presidente, but I can tell you it's going to be grocery.
You know what the contract?
Okay, the name of the grocery store, we don't know what's going to be. I can tell you who the owners that signed the lease. That's 2 different questions. It's the Presidente Group. Okay, but I don't know what the name could be. It could be Raphael's restaurant. I have no idea. I just don't know. Huh? There's no condos. It's going to be all rentals. Huh? There's going to be, okay, let me have one at a time, because I'm getting reactions, and I love emojis, and I'll do the emojis back, right? So I could tell you, just do the math. For the investment that's being done there, it's not going to be low rent. Number one. Number two, it's already been picked up on, you'll see some of the interviews in the media where folks are going to say, oh my God, is it going to be part of the ones that I can't even afford to rent? Maybe, because it's going to be high-end rental. Okay, so that I could tell you. Huh? Above market rate? Oh, no, more than 2,000 for sure. Maybe 6, 7, or maybe 6, 7. Just look at the group who purchased the property, right? You got Electra America and B&H Homes. B&H Home does high quality stuff. So again, I'm not defending it. I'm not the marketing guy, but. Got it. Thank you. Next question. Okay, what about, okay, there's right now in the total build out, it's going to be about 5,000 units. Okay, the traffic study is being conducted, as you know, that's right on US 1. Okay, not Old Cutler Road. I get those calls all the time. Okay, so it's on US 1. There's going to be a $300 million bus rapid transit. It's going to be feeding it. Right now, we're working with the developer and DOT regarding a pedestrian bridge. I understand that. I understand, but they're gonna be, I could tell you this, that the location of the density of this property, right? US one, Turnpike, BOT. Those are the areas to go out, you know? So the traffic study is being done right now. And that's the reason why the code said if the density is gonna happen, it's gonna happen here where the hub is. 2 exits from the Turnpike, US one, and the bus rapid transit. So they're gonna be moving around, but the traffic study will conduct that. Okay,
For the metro area, they were probably said it.
right, but this one here is gonna be the bus rapid transit, the BRT that you see, I call them almost like the honeycomb stations that you see being built here. And this mall is gonna be fed by 2, one on Caribbean and one on 112 by the Target. So there's gonna be 2 major hubs there on the Southland Mall area. Okay, and that's it. Good for Southland Mall? Okay. Any questions for Southland Mall before we move? Still fresh? No? No questions? All right, let's go to the next one we touched upon a little bit was the acquisition of town property, right? As I mentioned, you got a little preview that in the last 4 years, we became the biggest property owner on Old Cutler Road, right? We mentioned the 8.5 acres, $8.5 million. We mentioned the 16 acres, $1 million an acre, that we did what we call a land swap. The building that you're in right now used to be ours, we sold it. The lot next door to this building used to be ours, and we sold it, and we traded it for the 16 acres with $3 million cash, right? So that's the math, $16 million. We traded our equity into the $16 million property there. We took away 468 units development rights. Then most recently, Old Cutler, 87th Avenue, right? If you recall the journey, I think that developer tried maybe 3 times to put in a CVS and a mixed use. And all 3 times, the council denied it. And then developer came back and wanted to put in over 109 units as of right. When I say as of right, he has the right to develop that. I could build it. You don't want me to build it, I'm gonna sue you, or you could buy it. There's only 3 options: build, sue, buy, So we were able to negotiate and we purchased the property, the 3.5 acres. As you see in the last couple of months, we got rid of the nursery part, right? As you drive by there now. And also we're getting rid of all the Australian pines that are on that property as well. Okay. The 3.5 acres, once we purchased it, we applied for a Florida Community Trust grant, and we were able to, and proud to announce that we are just going through the final phases, but it looks like we're going to get a grant for $1.5 million to help us pay for that property. Okay, so the math, 8.5 million, 1.5 million from the state. So really, what did it cost, right? Number one. Number two, the property I mentioned over on Old Cutler and 184 that we mentioned, $8.5 million. That property there also, 2 years ago, we received a grant for $1.5 million to offset the cost of that property as well. Not only did we offset the cost of that property, but then we received another grant for $250,000 that we put in $250,000, so that's a $500,000 to do what's called the master planning. Like, what are we going to do with the property? The master plan. Remember how we showed the town hall with the master plan? To do a master plan on the 8.5 acres that we have there. Can you put down the graphic from Southland? Thank you. There we go. So these are the properties that we have here. So right now, what we're doing is I'll start from the north there, the 8.5 acres that we have the master plan funds for that. And then also, as you see that property there, where you see where we put the little no crabbing signs along Old Cutler Road, right? Folks, about 98% of the trees there are all invasive. All invasive. Okay, this grant is going to offset the cost to remove, but also the planning phase. Why have the trees not been removed yet? I want to make sure we have a community plan first. Because once you see that trees being removed, boy, you talk about rumors about stuff, there might be rumors about a 30-story building going on there, right? So we have the buy-in of what we're doing the master plan. So the consultant actually went to our Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee to present, it's kind of like a conceptual plan, right? That was there. That's the liaison is Vice Mayor Callahan, and made up of 5 residents appointed by the council. So they got to see the first kind of like, rendering, right? And then we had another community cleanup on site about like maybe 3 Saturdays ago. And we had the residents come there. We had by the way, great, shout out to, Eduardo Ruan and the folks from Louisville, Cutler Bay, because we actually had over 65 folks that showed up on a Saturday morning. And Councilmember Ramirez was there with our youth council as well to help volunteer, do some restoration. But more importantly, the way we set it up is that you had to go through the booth, as I call it, the tent, kind of like a kind of youth fair. You had to go through this way. And they came in and provided us a lot of comments on our master plan. And you know what? I love telling people there, because I was sitting there and I said, listen, I want you to say this is terrible, but we're looking at something. I'm fine with that. Because if not, I'm not looking at anything. I'd rather hear people say this is terrible, but at least we were able to do some doodling, as I call it, and it's coming along. And then on May 18th, commercial plug for Wings Over the Bay, Cutler Ridge Park from 6 to 8. We're actually going to have a tent there. So if you missed it, please, it's a great event. And you could also have comments there. So we want to make sure that we're going to the events to make sure that we have the comments. So that's that property. The 3.5 acres that we talked about on Old Cutler, 87th Avenue, that's going to go through that design phase as well. So right now we went through the cleanup phase, right? Because the nursery's gone. I mean, there was, who knows what kind of stuff that was in there, right? And then we're getting rid of the invasive, Australian pines there. I'm sure the neighbors across the street love it, because that, bless you, those things are like about, God, at least 80 feet tall. I mean, they're huge, And then obviously we talked about the 16 acres. So as you can see, that's been our commitment, that we have, 28 acres on Old Cutler Road. So we became the biggest property owners there. Okay, so next one, we're going to talk about the 53 acres. Okay, there it is, the little box in the corner, the 53 acres there, all the way south of there, right? So that property there, wow, I want to say at least, Vice Mayor, how many years already working on that? Yeah, 15 years. I mean, I remember back when the days when the Vice Mayor was on the Parks Committee, we were talking about that. The 53 acres there. So to give you a general idea where that's at, that's on 97th Avenue and 224 near the water treatment plant. It's 53 acres that's actually owned by South Florida Water Management District. We applied for a grant and we received a grant to do some rehabilitation. It's a natural area because it's flat. The birds love it. They love it, and there's different elevations. So we applied through a grant, and we received $700,000, and we matched 700. So it's a $1.4 million project to rehabilitate the area, make it more ponding area, get rid of all the, if you see a cattail, that's invasive, to get rid of all the cattails, which is also just south of that. If you're down that road, there's another $30 million project going on in Cutler Bay, folks. It's called the Certified Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, CERP, another acronym for bureaucrats, that is going to be a canal just south of there. It's going to run parallel to 232. So this birding area is going to complement it, because we were able to negotiate with our friends from the Army Corps that they're going to build a restroom, a parking facility, a pavilion, and an observation deck. The deck will look out to the 53 acres. So we were able to negotiate that. That's how we said, you know what, let's put some skin in the game, and then let's go ahead and contribute some of our funds for the district's property. It's not my backyard, right? But our residents are going to enjoy the backyard for South Florida Water Management District. And another thing that I know that we've been working on for like about, well, at least 9 years, right, is figuring out how we could acquire the property versus straight out purchase, right? So we have been actually negotiating, there's been some headway. Again, I say 9 years. Yes, it's been 9 years that I think we're close to negotiating a deal with South Florida Water Management District that we pay to maintain that property, as I tell the council, to protect our investment, right? Because remember, as I mentioned, $700,000 of our funds in somebody else's yard that we're going to enjoy to protect our investment. I think we're really close that we could sit there and have a deal for the maintenance of it without actually owning the property, because owning the property comes with a bunch of strings attached to it with the Army Corps of Engineers permit that's there. So we'll help you mow your lawn, but it's not our lawn, but we'll help you maintain it. That way our residents could enjoy it from everything that's going on there. So that's the 53 acres. Now, process, we're going through a master plan phase. They went before the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. They're going to be at our May 18th Wings Over the Bay. So if you want to have a nice preview, come over to the Wings by the Bay. You're going to see 2 master plans in one of our tents, the 8.5 acres, the 53 acres that we would love to hear your comments. Okay. No graphics now, huh? Okay, yeah, now you got me, right? Okay, so The one I mentioned before, hot topics, but now it's over here. County projects. Anybody seen the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge? Yeah, right. I'm still looking for the contractor too. So part of the issue that we're having on 87th, sorry, on Oak Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, one disclaimer, it is not a town project. It is not a town project. It is a county project. Has it been delayed? Yes, to the point that I could tell you the latest, as I reported to the town council last Wednesday, is that unfortunately the county had to terminate the contract with the current contractor. So I know some residents call me, hey, I see movement. Yeah, that's a contractor picking up his stuff. That's the movement. You know, nobody's in New York. They're just getting their stuff out of here. And we've been, from the county commissioner office to the public works director to the division director for the bridges, you know, we've been on them. So right now what's happening is that the county is going to go through a rebidding process. Yes, it's a process, right? To acquire a new contractor to finish up or clean up what the other contractor didn't finish. So that's something that it's very disappointing. I could tell you, if you've been following us years ago when we did Caribbean Boulevard, if you recall when we did Caribbean Boulevard, right? There was a point there, the county said, don't start Caribbean Boulevard until we finish the bridge. All right, I'm like, what? Thank God we didn't do that, right? So the good thing is, at least that was one. The second one was, hey, we could finish a lot faster if we just close the bridge. Think about it. If we close Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, you're an island. You're done. We lived that when the Caribbean Boulevard, remember that? The whole detour to Marlin Road and all these crazy things. So we are literally on an island. If that bridge, if there's an accident on that bridge, you can't move around. All right. So we know that. So look, we're going to keep the pressure on. You know, we meet with the county commissioner's office regularly. You know, I've had personal conversation with the public works director at the county. Now it's just a matter of them expediting that process. Different word, expediting, with a bigger comment than what we call expediting, right? But we know that there's going to be something going on there. Southwest 87th Avenue. Yes, ma'am.
Question about another county that.
Okay, come on up. Come on up. Okay, Mike. Hold on, we'll get the mic for you. Hold on. No, I just want to make sure the folks at home here, because this is being recorded as well. Depends how long it is. No, go ahead.
No, on Bellevue Drive, where the new hospital opened up across from Racing Cane, there's an intersection there that goes into US 1. Some bozo, I hope it was over here, decided that it would be a good idea to put a median in the middle
of that road, to put a median strip. Now what happens, all the people that zoom down our road, which is Lanier Drive every day, all those people make the left there to cut out to get onto US 1 because they don't want to go on 107th. So there's no place for anybody making a right-hand turn if one person is there that wants to make a left. If they had not made that median so big, and they had cut out a small place in it where people could make a left turn from, it would solve the problem. There are sometimes 12, 13 cars waiting every day to get out.
Okay, so
what's happening? They're cutting through the parking lot at the hospital to get out, to go in front of the auto parts store to get out. It's not only illegal, but it's dangerous.
okay, so let me go back to the first part,
Yes.
because I've been called a lot of things, but the bozo who put that center meeting was me.
I knew it.
Okay,
I
and
knew
now
it.
let
I
me-
knew it.
But let me tell you this, talk to your neighbors that said, why the semi still parking there?
Oh, no, I agree with
No
you
more,
there.
no, but wait,
But it's not the median. It's the end of it where it goes into US 1.
I get you, but let me get my response out, right? So the reason why we put that median there, right? Because there was a loophole, is that is a commercial district. Guess what? I could park my semi there on the street with a car carrier there, right? I got those calls. Sergeant Reed is in the room, you know, our sergeant from NRU will get the calls. Boss, we can't do anything about it. What? It's a commercial district. So you know what? Engineering it. You put a median there. Median equals trees. Median equals beautification. If not, concrete jungle, semis, both sides. cars still go through there, right? So it actually is an interesting phenomenon you're saying, because I guess you're saying that they're going on Lanier and they're making that left to get to US one.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what they do.
Got it. So then we got to figure out what to do with that left turn there on US one.
It's long
Because-
enough that one small area could be cut out, even if it was one car, because it's the one car every time that's blocking everybody else.
Got it. So I love those comments. That's why we have this type of exchange, and
Thank you.
we'll look at it. I mean, then obviously cut into parking lots. So I love getting those parking fines and tickets. So that's what the police department will do through our friends from HCA.
Okay, and while I'm at it, I'll bring you my other thing.
Uh-oh, extra bonus.
So, approximately a year ago, I would say, there was a vote put out to the people in our neighborhood, seeing if we wanted to have speed bumps put on Lanier Drive and on the 103rd, I believe it was, on Lanier Drive. We unanimously voted yes. So you never see me, but I parade down here once a month and I go talk to Public Works and I keep getting the same answer. Yes, we know it was approved. It's been out for bid. So I said, oh, that's good. Out for bid means something's happening. But yesterday when I went, the lady there informed me that she had misinformed me before, that it's not out for bid, that they're looking for funding. So my question is, if there's all kinds of money everywhere, and this gentleman brought up something very important, safety. Every day, the kids that walk to school, to Bel Air Elementary, walk down that street. And one day, when the people going 60 miles an hour hit one of them, it's going to be too late. We need those speed bumps. So I asked the girl yesterday, and she didn't give me an answer, if she could even tell us what it costs to do it. I think with our neighbors who are so adamant about this, could get together and get enough money done to at least put a speed bump there.
Okay, let me tell you the rest of the story.
Okay.
Okay, so the rest of the story is this. I love the topic about speed humps. I was just talking to our folks from Old Cutler Glen, homeowner associate, about speed bumps, right? The lucky thing for the community on Lanier Drive is that they qualify for the speed bumps. The reason why you even had an election means that you met the criteria of the number of cars over the speed limit. That is a criteria that we accepted. We didn't accept the criteria of 5 people calling the speed hump in front of the house. We don't roll that way. We have a criteria, it's exact same county criteria, which means it's very stringent. So congratulations, because you're only one of 2 neighborhoods, that and Southwest 212th Street, that meet that criteria. So there was an election. Let me tell you how the election works. Everybody, the homeowners along that stretch must approve over 60% approval. Check the box, you met it, number one. Number two, the lucky or unfortunate or who knows what residents that are going to have that table, not humps, speed table in front of their house. I got it, whatever it is. I mean, you know, you got the extra ballot. Okay, I know the process. Okay, extra ballot. All 4, if it's 4 property owners, must say yes. Congratulations, right? Because I have a neighborhood that once said no. That's it. That's it. That's how stringent it is. So you have checked the box. In terms of the funding, I know that we're getting the design has already been approved, and it's just a matter of getting the quotes from the contractor. So Bozo, manager here, me, I can tell you here from me that will be funded. You don't have to go around with a can and collect. If we get to that point, then just fire me. Right? Okay, so that you have met that process. You're going to be our first neighborhood with the speed tables. Other neighborhoods, different conversation that I've had with our friends from Old Cutler Glen. I understand there's traffic. I understand there's speeding. Do not meet the criteria. Different conversation. You're down that path, but I need to get somebody else to mic because I just
Want to say one more quick thing. I'd like you to personally thank the police department of Cutler Bay, because yesterday they came out and put one of those things that registers the speed.
the trailer.
And the police, or tomorrow, I think he said tomorrow, will be sending out police there to actually police these people that are zooming. Because they're not just going 35 in the 30 zone. They're going 60 and 65.
I think I know all 60% of the neighbors that voted on Lanier Drive. They all know me. Okay, so I mean, I guess I was talking about first name basis, you know, where they turn right there with the guy with the gray van, they turn the street. I mean, I know the neighbors there. So we know it's a cut through street, but at least there's something to do about it. So back to the box, center median, no semis. New phenomenon, we'll figure that out, right? The most effective speed bump is a $145 ticket that the police officer will give you. I wish I had them in every corner, you know, but that's the most effective speed bump, you know? So, but at least in your neighborhood, you will be the first to sit there and see that. So At least you heard it from me. And then the folks you were talking to, the young lady you were talking to was Cassandra. And then you've also talked to Alfredo Quintero, Public Works Director, and you're near Vega. It's a small group. We know everybody, you know, but at least you have that coming from us. So now that you've gone through that process. Okay. You're happy? Okay. Did we get all the questions from your sheet? We got all the questions from your sheet? Okay, but I want you to stick around. I don't leave now. Okay. It's getting better. Okay. Southwest 80. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. Okay. Yeah, come on up.
Because we've been talking to neighbors.
Come on up. There you go.
So I have concerns regarding the Caribbean Boulevard Complete Street Project, which I know you're seeking funding for. This is the small section of Caribbean Boulevard from 87th Avenue to 184th Street, referred to as the J. The quiet residential section of Caribbean Boulevard, and it doesn't experience, heavy traffic. I recognize that. My neighbors and I have just been provided access to the engineering drawings for the project, and we have some serious concerns over the project. Our main concerns are the proposed concrete sidewalks, damaging existing trees, the oak trees and the root systems, as well as perhaps increasing flooding. Our front yards are sloped to help absorb that water. And by putting these large concrete slabs, sidewalks in, we're concerned that we're going to have, damaged sidewalks, cracked sidewalks that won't be maintained and managed by the town. In many areas, the sidewalks are not maintained and are poorly kept up. So we'd like to know if the town has maintenance plans, and if so, if they'll share the details regarding the plans and the funding for maintaining the sidewalks, including bike paths throughout the town, because I ride my bike and I frequently have very badly maintained bike paths, and I haven't seen those repaired, even though I know the town received fundings for those. Also curious about the liability if someone gets hurt. We saw a student that fell off their bike in the middle of the crosswalk due to damaged sidewalks the other day. I don't know who's responsible for the liability for injury when someone does get injured. The community has sidewalks on one side of Caribbean Boulevard, and this sidewalk has very little local traffic on a daily basis. It's the opinion of myself and my neighbors that there's no need for sidewalks on both sides of the street, and that many roundabouts would be much better serving the J, as we have many reckless drivers, especially teenagers, that come through in the night speeding and doing donuts. And you can constantly see the new tire tracks that are there. We've even had teenagers run into property, trees, houses, and had to call the police in the middle of the night, but it doesn't seem to be maintained or monitored. We've woken up in the middle of the night to the dog barking and calling our attention to an injured person out on the road. The town of Cutler Bay now stipulates also that our estates cannot exceed 25% impervious material in the front yard. However, the town's plans include covering more than 35% of the right-of-way with concrete sidewalks and large concrete drainage slabs. The concrete and other impervious material prevent rainwater from being reabsorbed into the ground and increases flooding in neighborhoods. My neighbors and I have never had flooding. We're located in Zone X. Our yards are designed to hold the rainwater and allow the water to be naturally reabsorbed by the ground. We don't agree with the drainage systems that will impede the natural reabsorption process. In addition, many of the drains in the town frequently are blocked by debris, causing dangerous road conditions, or improperly designed, causing pooling of the water. Even the other day in the light rain, I saw a lot of pooling water and it wasn't going down the drains. The only section of the J that experiences flooding is the junction on 184th Street, where there's a curbed meridian. There exist drains in that area, but they're not properly maintained and water is not draining down those. I would recommend that the town come out and talk to the residents on the J about the real needs of that area. I have not been a resident very long, but previous owners that have been there longer than I have said that 10 years ago, this project was tried and they spoke to the residents and they agreed not to do this project. So now it's back on the, plans, and I'm not sure why, if it was agreed to not to continue in the past. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for the questions. What we call the J, right? We call it the J, right? It's the Caribbean from 87th Avenue to 184. Okay. Let me see, where do I start, right? So the town received a grant for $1 million to continue what we call the complete streets. What's complete streets? Drainage, lighting, landscaping, curbing, safety improvements at the intersection, crosswalks, all those items, and all those items, what we call our complete streets. The J was never done in the original joint project agreement, JPA, another J, right? A joint project agreement, because the funding was from 107 to 87. The J, there was no funding for that. We went through a very competitive process with FDOT and received $1 million worth of funds to complete the project. When I say complete the project, your previous owner that was there 10 years ago, they might have been talking to me because I've been here 15. I was a public works director. It's always been the plan to complete Caribbean Boulevard from end to end. Don't know where that information came from, but I mean, again, I'm here. The project will have landscaping, obviously lighting, and drainage. I understand that that's sloping down to the road, but I could tell you that as the water's not being absorbed, that water is going to be treated part of the treatment process that we have on the drainage part, that we have on the drain along along Caribbean Boulevard. So, I know, in fact, I'm meeting with some of your neighbors, I think tomorrow at 8:30, right? To talk about there you go. Hey, great, there you go. Hey, I'll see you at there. They're perfect. And we'll lay out the plans. We're all transparent here. We'll lay out the plans. It's always been the vision to complete the rest of that roadway project.
Change that.
Sorry, what was that?
So what's the plan? The plan was fallen when it was drawn.
Okay, you said the plan was fault? I disagree.
What the damn sidewalk?
I disagree the plans are fault. I understand that. I mean, so those are the kind of things that
No one's asked us about it.
okay,
We lived there. I've lived there for over 40 years.
okay,
I've never had a flood problem.
Mhm.
I've never had any of this stuff that you're talking about.
Okay.
We have existed.
okay. Can you come up to the mic so the folks at home get it? There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Go for it.
Sir, my name is Paul Cutler.
Okay,
I live at 8531 Caribbean Boulevard, part of the J. And I think this idea of putting a second sidewalk on the opposite side of a street, none of my neighbors want the damn thing. Why do you insist it? Government,
okay,
why don't you just leave us alone?
got it.
We don't want street lighting. We don't want curbs. I ride a bicycle. Last thing I want is a curb. Why is it being shoved down our throat without our being even asked?
Okay.
Okay,
No, I just want to show you finish the question.
yes.
Okay. So, two different things. One, it was part of our master plan to do sidewalk connectivity throughout the community, number one.
This is set in stone.
But
It
if we're gonna have
cannot
this
be
back and
changed.
forth, I just want to make sure you finish the question. Go ahead, finish your question.
It cannot possibly be changed.
Huh?
We're spending money we don't have.
Okay, I
For
just
stuff
mentioned
we
that
don't need.
we received a grant. Okay, and if you want to have this offline, we'll do it offline, but I mean, I have more than happy to talk about our master plans that have been done along for sidewalk connectivity throughout the town. We go through this all the time when we sit there and put in new sidewalks and locations. Number one. Number two, lighting. We're putting in the lighting, number one. Number two, we're gonna have a stormwater treatment of the drainage that's being run off to the street right now. And there's gonna be enhanced landscaping as well.
You're fixing a problem that doesn't exist.
I disagree.
There's a safety factor here.
100%.
When we moved in back in the 70s,
Mhm.
there was problems with traffic also.
Mhm.
86th Avenue runs right in front of my house. Some dodo missed the stop sign. Nearly hit my house. I came along right after that and said, well, gee, this is crazy. Well, we didn't have a government then, but I built a mound of dirt. I paid for railroad rails ties to put around that to make somewhat of a barrier. The sidewalk is going to come right through the center of that thing. And there's going to be no safety for my house.
I disagree. The safety, number one, is gonna be a curb, number one. Number
Oh,
two, there's
well.
gonna be lighting. There's gonna be lighting as well. There's no lighting in that area as well. And we're gonna have the part of doing the water treatment for the stormwater runoff as well.
Don't want water. Excuse me. Do not want.
Okay, so
lighting.
I got it. So what I'm hearing is this: the people don't want drainage, they don't want lighting, they don't want safety features, and they don't want landscaping.
We want to be left alone.
I got you. I heard you. Thank you.
Then why don't you do it?
Okay, I'm hearing your comments. I mean, there's a reason why we're doing that for all those different features I just mentioned.
Nobody likes to fight City Hall, sir.
Nobody would like what?
Nobody likes to fight City Hall.
I'm not saying fight City Hall. I'm telling you, I'm giving you the information why what's occurring. You know, lighting, safety, you mentioned it, drainage, safety, flooding, 2, curbing, curbing and the landscaping.
We've lived there 40 years without lighting.
I
Don't
understand.
want lighting.
I
Don't
understand
like
that.
lighting.
Listen, we had the same discussion when we did the Caribbean Boulevard along the other side. Same arguments as well. We've had the same discussions as well. And look at the improvements that we've done. Look at our track record on Caribbean Boulevard. In fact, it was an award-winning project as well. And it's safer for the curbing, which makes us put when you put a curb in, you can put the landscaping close to the curb. Lighting, I have neighbors that would love to have lighting, and there's no funding for it. I have neighbors that would love to have drainage that don't have it yet. You know,
I wish you could push this money into those neighbors that want it,
I got it.
not force it down the throats of the neighbors that don't want it.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for attending. Yes, come on. Sure, man. Come on up if we could. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, come on up so we could hear you. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Teresa Smith. We've been on the J for 35 years. We've heard the talk of the sidewalks for many years, and we didn't want it before. We don't want it now. We have beautiful palms. So do all my neighbors. We planted trees with Mike Schuler. He was, I believe, the president of the Weston Pine Civic Association. We have those beautiful oaks. According to the drawings, it looks like almost all those trees will be taken out. So adding more landscaping, what? The size of a 5-foot tree is not going to help anything. The lighting, I'm totally against lighting. It affects the wildlife in the area. We're very proud of our wildlife. And the traffic there it's going to be like a speedway. We already have the bad traffic. Every morning, I can't even pull out of my driveway. So I think the issue is not, lights, drainage, all this. I think we have more of a traffic issue in front of my house. I go around the curve. Before Hurricane Andrew hit, we had a speed limit sign of 25 miles an hour. That sign was never put back up. Now they go 75 miles an hour. So we've called the county, tried to get the sign back up, at no avail. We really don't want this, okay? The neighbors don't want it. We want safer streets. We don't want a speedway because they're coming through our J every morning. I've watched them. When 87th Avenue gets backed up, guess where they're going? From 87th Avenue, cutting through Caribbean all the way to Eureka. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And, sidewalks, if we didn't have a speeding problem, we don't need no sidewalks. I walk my dog every single day on that road. I don't have a problem, but I have a problem with speeders.
Got it.
I really would like to see something else go up. Spend the money, but 4-way stop, or actually a 3-way stop on 185th Terrace and Caribbean. That's right around the curve where all the speeders go. So I think there's an alternative instead of tearing down all those trees. Because I've been growing those trees for 35 years. I'm very proud of them. And I'd like to keep them. And according to your plans, you can't replace my big royals. You can't replace my oaks. You can put another tree there, but it's not going to be the same size. So I'd appreciate it if we can look at this and just halt this whole project.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor, come on. And then Barbara.
I normally don't speak in open mics because it's really Ralph's show, not about the council. But I felt just to ask some questions and maybe add some light to the subject. I live on Caribbean Boulevard. I've been in Cutler Bay since 1977. I've lived on Caribbean Boulevard since 1997. So I've been here a long, long time. I was part of the original renovation through Caribbean Boulevard. And like you, skeptic, very skeptic at first. I mean, once the project was completed, they put in curbs in front of my house, new sidewalks, all that kind of stuff. And they put some lighting. I certainly hear what you're saying. For our part, all right, I live right off Franjo and Caribbean. So I'm right in the middle of all of the traffic. So for me, it worked, right? It slowed down traffic. The curbing and the new landscaping and all of it certainly worked for me. I'm very familiar with the J. I have a lot of friends that have lived, we played, we grew up there. So I guess, Ralph, one of the questions I have is where are we in this project in terms of the timeline? And is there a possibility to take a pause?
I think from the timeline standpoint, the project has already been designed. The grant has been awarded. The design is completed. I mean, obviously with some of the comments we're seeing, we'll look at the trees are relocated or saved there. That's been our track record there. But where we're at in the project is that I want to say it's getting ready to go to the bidding stage now.
Last time you stated that it was going to Salazar to try to get additional funding, you didn't have all the money for it.
Well, that's because we have a federal appropriation. Right, it's one of the three projects. We requested $2 million. We have $1 million already from DOT. And then we are then asking for additional funding from Salazar, $2 additional million in order to offset with the funds that we're going to use from the town. So again, that's going to be one of the asks that we have in DC.
So, so there's a possibility that we can take a slight pause and revisit some things. I mean,
we could. I mean, it's just a matter of doing some type of redesign or what have you, or returning $1 million from DOT.
Well, I hear what you guys are saying. I really do, but I'm also the liaison to the floodplain mitigation committee. All right, where since we've incorporated that particular committee along with our public works department, our town manager have done a phenomenal job improving our stormwater management in the town, right? So much so that we have been rated a class 3 town, which gives us 35% discount on our flood insurance. Yeah, you can see me afterwards. Sure. Yeah. So what we're doing right now is we're putting in additional projects, right, to continue to control our stormwater runoff. And we feel at our last meeting, we feel that we have a great opportunity to be able to get to a class 2. Now, to give you an example, there's only 11 communities in the United States that are class 3. Only 11. Okay. And I think there's only 3 in the United States that are a class 2. And we feel we have a great opportunity to get to a class 2, which would give our residents a 40% discount on their flood insurance. And as you guys know, FEMA just redid the maps and flood insurance is going up, and those who didn't need flood insurance are now going to need flood insurance. So whatever we can do to help our residents save money is a top priority for us. But that's going to mean that we're going to have to do some stormwater management, right? So we probably are going to have to put in the drains, right? Because that's all of our bigger project, right? We have to do these in our communities to be able to control our stormwater to get to the next level, right? What I would like to do, and I will talk with Ralph to see if we can put together some kind of meeting with the residents on the J and us and see what are the possibilities that we can come together with a compromise, right? There is going to have to be work. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say nothing is going to be done.
Yes,
we have to do work, right? But I do hear you, and
One of the things that we've been very good at as a council and as a town staff is listening to our residents and being able to compromise and pivot when we need to. So I would like to ask Ralph if if we can put together a meeting, and let's look at it. And if we can make design changes that make sense, then we're willing to look at that.
Right.
My reason for the meeting is because is exactly that.
Hmm.
I personally have spoken with 90% of the residents of the street, live on that street, and the housing construction, everybody knows. I'm here to work with.
Mhm.
That's why.
Absolutely, absolutely. That,
We are, I think we are a good compromise.
Mhm.
We cannot satisfy all the residents, but we always get satisfied. Some of those, accommodate another ones. I think we can bring a good solution.
Yeah.
Continue with the dream of the town, with the plans of the town, fix it.
Yeah.
And we bring a good idea to solve the issues that you are planning.
and
Without
right, and the vice mayor, look, and the vice mayor hit it on the spot. When, we're great about with community input meetings, right? In fact, just before this meeting today, I was telling my public works director that we need to go ahead and have those type of community meetings, right? To talk about what are some of those compromises, right? But as your town manager, when we have a sidewalk master plan and a pedestrian master plan for cyclists, right? And it says, this is what it should look like as a complete streets, I'm checking the box. Number two, we talked about safety, right? Lighting, curbing, drainage, those are all part of those categories. So we check that box as well. And then what do? We aggressively go and find different grants. We received, no, we agree to that. So what I'm saying is this, I have no problem committing to the meeting. In fact, you could call, the young lady here says, she knows my public works director, Cassandra Alfredo, right? Call him up, call me out tomorrow, right? Say, hey, did Ralph talk to you about, did we have a community meeting on the J? And if the answer is no, then I said, why didn't we, and why, and let's get it going. Okay, so there has to be some compromise. Okay, but it will not be my style, the 17 years I've been here and 12 as your town manager, to return $1 million. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, because that is not our style, because it's a very, very competitive, right, grant that we received. And I guarantee you, folks watching home probably say, hey, I want that in my neighborhood. How come I don't get that? Like the speed humps, right? I mean, I got one very happy funding, another one saying very sad that you don't even meet the criteria. So I'm balancing the both worlds, right, as your town manager, and I love it. I love what I do, right? So what we want to do is just have that conversation. Let's have that conversation, because I still say, as your town manager, we're all about safety, lighting, drainage, and the curbing, and go from there. And again, I could show you master plans that say sidewalk here, right? So we understand that. So the same way that we're having the sidewalk that we had the issue on 82nd Avenue that we're going to get to as well. So yes, thank you, Vice Mayor, because something that we were talking about before, let's talk it out as a group and let's see what we could do. And let's see what's the most efficient, right? And see what we can salvage. In terms of landscaping, I can tell you, you have our commitment. In fact, it's been our track record to save trees. Anybody seen the traffic circles on Old Cutler Road and Caribbean? Those trees were repurposed. Those trees were repurposed. Those trees came from somebody's house and we plopped it right in the circle. If they're salvageable, the palm trees are the easiest things to relocate. The easiest things to relocate. It's just a big root ball. We relocate those all the time. In fact, you're going to see that going back to I know the gentleman had a question here before I go to Frangel Road, because it's going to be kind of similar, right? We're going to have this type of similar conversation on Frangel Road. Okay. So you have my commitment that we'll have a community meeting. It'll be in this room with the architects, with all the the engineers, architects, and boards, and let's talk it through. Let's talk it through. Okay, and I won't forget your CRS3 question. Okay, I thought about that. So you can still meet tomorrow, or huh? Okay. No, I know, but I want to make sure that we'll have a meeting, for me and you can be tomorrow. Listen, just call the office, 786-573-5518. Ask for Julia, my executive assistant, and we can schedule a meeting. I'm very accessible. Okay, so, but thank you for those comments. I love the comments, right? So this is a part of what we do as local government, right? This is the reason why we incorporated as local government, right? You know, so this is the reason why all the different improvements that we've done in local government. I mentioned, 10 years ago, let's go back 15 years ago. What did Caribbean Boulevard look like? What did Cutler Road look like? I can show you pictures of the foot trails of people walking. We don't want sidewalks. There's a person like this, cars buzzing through, walking on the foot trail. You know, we made it safer. We made it safer. Part of the reason, one of the things that we do, and if you see how we did Caribbean Boulevard, we pinched the intersections, the little crossroads there. We made we closed them up so that way you don't speed around the corner, because now you leave your rim on the side of curbing. That it makes it safer, right? We made it shorter distance. And at the same time, you do the traffic calming, just like the center median by HCA. We don't have the semis there parked anymore because they don't fit. That's why. But we create a new problem. Okay, so we'll figure it out. Like traffic's like a water balloon, right? You squeeze it, it goes somewhere else, right? It's still coming. It's a water balloon, I call it. All you're doing is kind of playing it around. Oh, did you push to my neighborhood? You push my neighborhood. Now they're going to avoid Lanier. They're going to be, I'm going to see the next road. All right, so it's a water balloon. I can't get them off the streets. They're coming. So, yes, sir. I know you had a question. Hi.
My question. Thanks for the big part.
Okay, come on up. Just shoot the questions so that way the folks at home can hear you.
Regarding the baseball fields at Lake Sparta Bay Park,
Okay.
they're empty 99% of the time. However, you have a padlock on the fence, which prevents the residents from using the baseball fields. I don't want to have a baseball game. I just want to practice with my kids. And
Okay. So the question is about Lake Sparta Bay Park, why we have some of the fields locked. I could tell you that's something that when we didn't have them locked, I had unofficial leagues using the park.
okay,
Number one. Number two, that's something we met internally with our Parks Department now to sit there and say what we call like kind of open play, right? Almost like on an honor system, you go out there and kind of play. But the open play turned to like leagues, not reserving and having full-blown games there versus me and Junior just playing catch, right? So that's something that we have to navigate, and something I met with our Parks Department. Maybe we could say, you know what, there's a open play happy hour, right? That, hey, here's the days that there could be some like open play, because most of the time what happens is, I could tell you the people who live right next to the apartments that we had some folks playing, baseball there, and I had to pay for like 3 windows. And they're like, where'd these people show up? Oh, we just saw the gate open. We just had a league. So it's something that we got to find that compromise with.
but there's workers at the park, correct?
There's workers at the park.
Whole
There-
game from
There's
start.
there's workers in the park that'll sit there and monitor it. So I want to make sure that they sit there and let them know that this is kind of like open play. But I've actually had full-blown teams and leagues playing there under open play, and that's not open play.
Yeah, I understand that,
Yeah.
but if there's workers there, they would prevent.
I
the game.
understand that, but my workers aren't going to be sitting there like the gate like this when they need to be picking up litter.
Right.
I wish I had that many, but I understand. I hear you. Rod, if you could give me my card, I'll give you my card,
Please.
because that's something I actually discussed about having, like, say, open play.
Okay.
Open play, because I mean, I've seen it. Listen, we see the social media posts. The gates are locked. We can't use it.
Because even on the field, the soccer team, you can't even go there because they kick you out. So,
Right, because you got a soccer league there too. Right, so those are the leagues that they paid for the fields,
yeah, I understand.
right? I'm not saying that I need you to pay for it, but I need to make sure that we have the honor system.
Fields are there empty when,
Correct, and I think
But you-
that's
you-
something that we just got to work out, where it says, you know what, when is an open play day, and go from there.
so you're saying it'll be one day?
No, I'm not saying open times, I mean, open times.
Oh,
for-
allow there's some kind of,
I agree, but going out there playing catch or whatever versus bringing 25 people deep with a baseball bat and just have a game with referees and umpires, that's not open play. That's what I've been dealing with. I know, but same, remember, I got to deal with both sides, but we're more than happy to, talk to you, Rod, my business card. Oh, there you go. Thank you. No, absolutely. Thanks for coming. I know before I forget, you had a question about Community Rating System 3. As the Vice Mayor mentioned, just so the folks at home know, it's a FEMA program for the flood insurance. We're like the Vice Mayor said, we're one of 11 cities throughout the entire nation. You get 35% discount on your flood insurance. If you remember anything today, don't remember my name, go to your flood insurance and see if you got 35% discount.
Also changed some of the ordinances in the town, and that homeowners are aware of that. I think one of them was in this pamphlet that came out, where it said.
If you come up to
Your
the,
structure, yeah.
thank you.
I've tried to research and find out more information
Sure.
on what it means for us, because we have to reapply each year to stay at this classification, I've been told. But I can't
You
find,
say reapply, we the town or you?
we, the town, have to
Okay.
reapply to maintain that classification every year is what I.
No, it's every 3 years.
every 3 years, you said?
3 years. You heard it from me.
Okay.
I'm a certified.
Every
plumber.
3 years. Perfect. So, but it has changed certain ordinances. And I think one of the ordinances changed as a result of perhaps what we have to develop in order to meet this criteria is in the pamphlet that we received this past week under step 5, build responsibly, which says that if your structure is damaged, imagine a hurricane, or improved by an amount greater than 44% of your structure's market value, then you will comply with the current floodplain requirements and be required to raise your home to a floor elevation 1 foot above BFE. So I think there's a large economic part to this classification that's voluntary as well. And I don't think the town and the people living in the town know about some of this criteria, which could be a factor in whether they think this is a positive or a negative.
Okay, so
I haven't been able to find it on the website. If you could point out where we can find all the ordinances and changes,
well-
that would be helpful.
absolutely. So first, when you go home, put in Muni code is a municipal code, Cutler Bay, and you'll see our rules. You'll see our codes there, which is called codified. When an ordinance gets adopted by the council with 2 readings, right? They read it once, we advertise it, they read it twice. Okay, there's 2 times. I call it 2 bites at the apple, right? And then we take it to Muni code. In fact, Mauricio, right there, our town clerk, that's what he does there with all the Muni codes, right? So you go into Muni code and that you see all our codes there, okay? Let me tell you about the 44% rule. As the vice mayor mentioned before, one of the criteria of having it through FEMA of having a stricter code, right? So are people aware of it? Every day they're aware of it. Just come to my building department, sit in the lobby, and we tell them about the 44% rule. It's very easy. If you have 44% of your value of home is more of your improvements, the key word value, what do? We take the property value from the property appraiser. And you've heard me say it here before. You want your property to be assessed $10 and you want to sell it for $1 million. You're paying taxes on 10, right? I always tell people that versus your market value, right? It's appraised value. So what we tell people when we see that is what that does, that we're tracking. Meaning that FEMA says that if you reach 44% of your home's value, which you could always provide us an appraisal, right? Because what we're looking for is the market value, appraised value on the property appraisal. We know that your house isn't worth that. We want it to be worth 10 times that for you, right? But you're only paying tax on that. We see that all the time with our building department. So when folks are getting really close to that, we tell them, hey, go get your appraised value. So that way you are not even near that 44%. But that's the rules of engagement with FEMA, meaning that the concept is this, that once you reach 44% and you can't make any more adjustments or your market value is right there, then yes, you will then be forced to elevate the home, okay? Sometimes that 44% gets confused with the 50% rule from the building department, from the building code, that if your home is more than 50% demolished, then there's a determination that damage that it might be demolished, right? Our 44% rule is that. And in fact, if you have any question regarding that, it's in our code, very specific, what counts towards it or what have you. Or as this young lady mentioned, you could contact our public works department or our building department. They're all versed about the 44% rule. So that shouldn't scare you if you do that. But if I have somebody building a full-blown addition that's going to go over 44%, and they cannot show that the property is worth that high value, then yeah, they have to comply. That's part of getting the bonus points, as I call it, or bonus discount from FEMA. But again, certainly we could walk you through that, Okay, so we talked about Caribbean, the J, right? Everybody knows the J now, right? I know it's been a while since I've had some online questions. So Rod, Mauricio, any online questions?
We had a couple come up.
Okay,
One
shoot it.
regarding Southland Mall. Will the
Okay.
entire Southland Mall be demolished and will the stores within the mall be able to lease in the new city place?
Okay, so the question was, will the entire Southland Mall be demolished? No. Portions of it will be. And
The second part of the question was, will the stores within the mall be able to lease in the new city place?
That, I know that just talking to some of the stores there, they have been, some have been leaving, some of the malls option to get a private deal, have not been renewing their leases. They're telling folks it's a short-term lease because maybe that portion of the mall where they're currently at isn't going to exist anymore. But I can tell you that they're going to be adding over 200,000 square feet of new retail as well. So it's just a matter of how they deal in the leasing and try to relocate.
Then we also had a handful of questions about speed bumps when that came up. So there was a question about speed bumps on Marlin Road and Gulfstream. Also, questions on speed bumps on 92nd Avenue and 216th, 79th Court and 196th.
Well, hold on, I gotta do one at a time. I'm going through my, I'm
So the
going through my
first one-
picture. Okay, what's the first row?
Marlin and Gulfstream.
Marlin and Gulfstream. Okay, Marlin and Gulfstream is where it meets right there on Marlin and Gulfstream, a speed hump? No, but I could tell you that one of our master plans said that that intersection is eligible for a traffic circle on Marlin and Gulfstream. That's where the two-story house is in the corner.
The second one was 92nd Avenue after the four-way stop near 216th.
92nd Avenue after the four-way stop before 216. So that's a little, bendy road there, right? I know that Chris Reed's looking it up now, my sergeant back there. I could tell you that something I failed to mention, when we did a town-wide master plan again, we studied over 99 roadway sections and intersections to see which one meet the criteria. Okay, so on that one, I am not sure. So whoever asked that question, if they could please give myself a call or Fredo Quintero a call to see if it's one of the 99. Sorry, I didn't memorize all 99, but I know the street, and I just don't know if that was studied, and if it was studied, did it meet the criteria to move on to the next phase?
And then the third area was 79th Court and 196. That they need help on speeding and who can they contact? to
Okay,
discuss?
they could contact me, Cutler Glenn. I've been in contact with their homeowner association president, their attorney, and I even challenged them to say, please invite me to one of your community meetings. And they're not gonna have one till June. I said, you better have me before June, because that's a perfect storm. That's one of my items here. Our folks in Cutler Glen, thank you for your patience. We had 82nd Avenue. 82nd Avenue is under construction. Okay, another road that we received the $800,000 grant for building drainage, sidewalks where there are no sidewalks, okay? And a traffic circle on 82nd and 188, because it met the criteria for a traffic circle, and we're building that now. Unfortunate part for our neighbors there, and thank you for your patience, is that 82nd Avenue is closed. How do you install drainage? How do you install a traffic circle? They closed the road. Unfortunately, our friends from the county are also building a traffic circle on 184 and Cutler Road. And that detour is funneling right through 196th Street, which 196th Street, we've been dealing with the homeowner association there for at least the last 8 years. And we actually did a study, and it did not meet the criteria, traffic count and speeding. Traffic on little stripes there to tell you how many cars and how fast and the criteria, percentile, and what have you. It didn't meet the criteria. But I could tell you, and I said it to the HOA as well as their attorney, that after these two detours are done, that we will go back and revisit to see if they meet the criteria. But it's not going to be one of those have 20 people call Ralph and the speed humps out there. It's not, that does not way it operates. We have a criteria for that. But we are working closely with that homeowner association and as well as the county. What I can control is what we control is 82nd Avenue. So I want to make sure that we get in, we get out as fast as possible so we can open up 82nd Avenue. So that way, when the two detours are going on, they're not funneling down 196th Street.
There's one general question about fixing the sidewalks that are broken or damaged in the town.
Well, I could tell you we've spent over $1 million. Give us an address and I'll tell you the story where we're at in it. I mean, we spent over $1.5 million from the federal stimulus funds to fix sidewalks throughout our town. So if there's a trip hazard that they see out there, please let us know and I'll tell you where it is on the list. But we just committed over $1 million worth of sidewalk repairs.
And one last one here, can FPL working on power poles in a neighborhood block access to a side yard on a private property due to the tension wires used to hold up the concrete poles.
So this is how small town USA is. I know exactly who asked that question. I know we're dealing with it right now. It came in this afternoon and we were on it with FPL regarding that. Where there's a pole and there's a guide wire that's being placed on an easement. It's not gonna be on private property. Remember, when you look at your survey, you have your property, but there's this easement. That means utility or government can use it. Different than the right of way, an easement's on your property and say, hey, where's that water? Have is easement. So that one there, we are studying that. We hear you. We're your local government. We're your advocate. We are fighting for that situation there. And we want to ask the same question that you're asking to make sure that it's on the easement. But I know exactly where that location's at.
Two more, there was a follow-up on the
Oh, man.
broken sidewalks, 103rd Avenue and 201st Street are the areas that they're talking about. And there is also a question about EV charging stations in the town.
Okay, I'll do the EV ones. That's a quicker one. The charging stations, if you see when we remodeled Frangio Park, we installed 2 EV stations there. Any new development that comes in must have, per our green code, EV stations. So before we sold Town Hall, there's 2 EV stations right outside my office that when it was our building that we installed here through a grant as well. So our process is more and more these EV cars become more popular to install them throughout different various, grants that we have. But in our new town hall complex, the municipal complex, there will be EV stations there too. Because in fact, I've actually heard EV stations for golf carts as well, that we're actually exploring. We actually received a grant for $76,000 to purchase or install EV stations. Take care, thanks for coming. For EV stations, and in fact, what I did was I challenged our staff is that instead of having a fixed station, has anybody ever been to one of our events, right? Not only our signature events, 4th of July, Halloween, and Christmas, right? You get over 300-400 golf carts, right? Everybody gets all excited, put all the lights, bells, and whistles on it until the police department have to push you out of the way because you ran out of battery juice, right? So that happens. It's a real thing. It's a thing, right? So we actually received a grant for $76,000 from the federal government that one of the items that are eligible are portable EV stations. That's okay. You know what? Let's do portable EV station, put a parentheses there, say golf cart. So hopefully here in the next couple of months, you'll see a council item that I bring into the council because I could only purchase up to $25,000 to purchase these portable EV devices for golf cart events. But we do have them at our parks, and as we redevelop our parks and improve them, you'll see more and more of those.
There was one follow-up on the FP&L question. If the guide wires are on the easement, are you saying that I have no recourse? And now they can effectively block access to my side yard to block a boat or an RV?
I didn't say no recourse. Read my lips. I didn't say no recourse. I said, we're going to be your advocate. We're going to fight for FPL. It's a little bit different when I call versus when a resident calls or the town calls, right? So we're going to be fighting for that. And we're in the common sense business, I wouldn't want that blocking my access to my boat, my yard trailer, or what have you, but there's a reason why it's being installed there. Maybe again, like we talked to our friends from the J, right? There has to be some type of compromise there. So that's what we're going to do with FPL on the behalf of the resident, because that's what we do as local government and advocate on their behalf. Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. Just the residents at home can hear. I can hear you.
So in speaking about golf carts, I see a lot. I know Cutler Bay and Palmetto Bay adopted similar policies in terms of golf cart use and who should be driving a golf cart, in control of a golf cart. But I see a lot of young, unlicensed kids driving golf carts in the town. And the other day, I nearly had a golf cart of 4 kids tip over in front of us in the car. And it was very scary because I had my teenage driver driving the car. But I was wondering, are we enforcing that rule? I think it's cool to drive a golf cart. I agree. When I was that age, I loved it, but it's not safe. And I see them being driven very recklessly around the town. And I'm concerned about the safety of these young teens. I've seen too many accidents with teenagers on golf carts. How can we enforce this better?
Yeah. And I think that's a great question. I could tell you that That's what our police department is constantly doing that out there. You may not see the times that they pull somebody over, but I believe it or not, I actually had a friend of mine that his son got pulled over and said, "Hey, Ralph, you know me?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so, well, you know, the cops had my son. He was on the old Cutler Road bike trail, but the path, right? And he got pulled over. He was just going to the barber shop. I'm like, "I don't care where he was going." "No, but can I use your name?" I'm like, "Use my name." I told the police department when they use my name, give them 5 tickets, you know? So I think in that aspect there, it's just a matter of enforcement. Again, that's why I have Sergeant Chris Reed there from our NRU there. They're listening. I have my police major listening, you know, as well there. It's just a matter of enforcement, you know? We want to make sure was that they get pulled over, they call the parents and they get a citation. You know, they have to get that, you know?
Is it strict enough that it prevents it? Do you think?
I don't know. Depends, you know,
For example, a student with a permit, if they get pulled over and get a violation when they have a permit, they.
I mean, it's certainly going to be one of those factors that it's a misdemeanor. You're not going to be arrested, obviously. You know, I mean, I'm not a police officer, but I know that it's not going to be a arrestable offense. But I could tell you, you know, as a parent, you want to get that call that, you know, they have Junior or Janie on the side of the road and you got to come pick them up. You know, so those are the kind of things.
If you permit.
Right. Right. But I mean, it's actually a moving citation because I mean, another aspect of, remember I told you kind of balance both worlds. Imagine when I'm talking to a parent when their kid got pulled over doing Papa Wheelies on Old Cutler Road, it's a moving citation. And then they're telling me the cops will have nothing else to do. I'm like, yeah, that's what they do. So I mean, again, I get in both worlds, you know, I get in both worlds, but I know that they're out there doing it. If you see that kind of stuff, you see it, please report it to the police department. I mean, they're out there, you know, riding around and that's what they do. So it's just a matter of like more aggressive enforcement. Are they going to have roadblocks, DUI checkpoints? I'm not at that level. We don't want to create that atmosphere. We want to make sure we have a family safe atmosphere, but at the same time, we don't want to see, you know, a 12-year-old, you know, driving the golf cart, you know, so that's something else. Hi, Miss Luisa Santos, our honorable school board member. Thank you, and town resident. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for hosting this. I'm Luisa Santos. Yes, I'm our school board member, but also a proud resident. And so grateful that the town continues to have these type of input opportunities and really wanted to remind our neighbors, all of us, that we have fantastic schools in our town. Our schools determine the value of our properties. They determine the safety of our community. And of course, they determine the next generation of our community. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows your neighbor is your school board member. We work closely with the town. We're resurfacing courts. We're thinking about ways to creatively use fields, ways to continue to support schools, and really encourage all the neighbors to get involved. I know many of you have kids that are already grown. Congratulations. That's a big deal. But our schools need you to stay involved. If you want to volunteer at them, you're welcome to do that. And really want to also just continue to thank the town for how closely they work with our schools. And if you have any questions, I'll be around at the end.
Well, thank you, school board member Santos. I mean, again, that's another example of, you know, we're in the school board hat, we're in the residence hat, and, you know, she'll call me about business and then she'll call me about, you know, trash pile somewhere, you know, so we work that all the time and we're very committed to schools. In fact, if you come by town hall around anytime after what, 2 o'clock, Rod, you'll see a bunch of 11th graders from Cutler Bay High that are my interns, you know, running around town hall. They're actually working, believe it or not, you know. So we're doing that. We have a great commitment with the relationship with the school, you know, as well. One of the things I do is as your town manager, at least a couple times a year, I sit down with all the realtors, right? And I talked to the realtor and said, you know what? You're selling the dream, right? You're telling somebody, like I just mentioned earlier, that the house on Old Cutler Road are going for $1.5 million. What are you saying? What's the feedback you're getting for the town of Cutler Bay? Why do these people want to invest their life savings here? And one of the first things we hear, schools. Second, safety. Believe it or not, tied number 3, golf cart friendly, believe it or not. You know, believe it or not, they say they can't do that in Kendall. I'm like, oh, that's I know. You know, so we hear golf cart friendly, and then obviously the cleanliness and responsive to the town. So I go right to the realtors that are selling and find out what's the good and what's the bad, you know, as well. So we try to get that feedback. So that I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that commercial plug, all of our schools are A and B schools, you know, all A and B schools. So there's a lot of great options. Moving on, because I know. Man, we're like Nielsen rating here. It's almost 8 o'clock. I love it. I can keep going. Okay, so quickly, pickleball. Okay, the Saga Bay Park. Okay, we have two Saga Bay, the Saga Bay Lake and Saga Bay Park, right? The Saga Bay Park, we have 4 existing tennis courts there. Okay, right now they're temporarily closed, not permanently closed, temporarily closed. The 2 northern tennis courts are getting completely patched up, resurfaced and restriped. They shall remain a tennis court. The southern 2 courts are going to be existing courts, tennis courts are to be converted to 6 regulation pickleball courts. That's something, again, talk about public input. It went to the Parks and Recreation Committee at least, I want to say at least 3, 4 different meetings that we had, advocacy groups come and talk to us. Committee, which is made up of residents just like yourself that have been appointed by the council, reviewed it, studied it, and looked at the location. Why that location? Because we had existing 4 tennis courts there with lighting. The lighting is there already. And I'll tell you stories about people trying to hack our system and try to keep the lights on until 2 in the morning. That's a different story. But yeah, because I got to hear from the neighbors too. Who's playing tennis at 2 in the morning? What are you talking about playing tennis? But that project is currently under construction right now, and hopefully within the next, barring weather, which we've had a nice dry spell there, the contractors down there on site, that project will be completed, relatively quickly, and then we'll all have a nice big ribbon cutting. Now, some residents say, well, I love playing tennis. Where can I play tennis? Well, another commercial plug. We have a tennis court at Cutler Ridge Park that you could go use over there, as well. And with our partners from Miami-Dade County School Board district there, we're looking at also different partnerships and agreements where we could start using some more of their access to their fields, some of their basketball courts, some of the tennis courts that they have, right? Because I've had this conversation with School Board Member Santos. It's all our property, right? So we're working on that as well. So I can tell you, it's behind the scenes. We've been working with that with our Parks and Recreation Committee that's on there as well. So, and our Education Advisory Committee that's liaison by BJ Duncan. Quickly, we talked about roadway projects. One of the biggest projects that we're going to have that we just awarded the contract last council meeting is Frangio Road. Frangio Road, right? We're going to continue the theme of complete streets. Right? We all know it now, right? Lighting, drainage, curbing, landscaping. And now I'm going to add a couple, 2 little wrinkles on Frangio Road. Frangio Road project limit is going to go from 184 to Old Cutler Road, the entire length. It's going to be 2 traffic circles. Okay. One on Cutler Ridge Drive and Frangio, that kind of weird intersection, right? That's all going to be straightened out there. Talk about safety. I know the gentleman first name basis that lives on the corner that our bus has gone through his fence. And 5 cars have gone through this fence. Okay, right there. So that intersection is going to be completely aligned with a traffic circle. Right now is a 4-way stop, right? People still play chicken, right? They still don't understand the 4-way stop because it's kind of a weird intersection. The second bonus circle, as I call it, is going to be Gulfstream and Frangio. Gulfstream and Frangio. If you know that intersection on a sunny day, you can't even make a left turn, and it's not even busy. So there's going to be 2 traffic circles there to improve the mobility. Along the corridor, it's going to look like Caribbean Boulevard with bus pull-out bays, as well as some brick pavers like Old Cutler Road. So that's called the Complete Streets Project. So we just awarded the contract last council meeting, $16 million. Okay. 8.6 million of it is from a grant that we received from Miami-Dade County. Okay. The remaining funds will be put in by the town. And we're, again, looking at leveraging grant funds through our American Rescue Plan Act, which is ARPA funds, that we're going to probably contribute about another maybe $6-7 million of that. So that way we can finish up that road. That was, again, master planned out. Again, hopefully they can start breaking ground sometime in, maybe late July or as early as late June, somewhere around there. The plans are done and we're going to go from there. Another major roadway that is it's going to be under design that we received a grant, 2 grants for $980,000 worth of funding is Marlin Road. Marlin Road from US 1 all the way down to Old Cutler Road. Right there. I'll say Publix, but Old Cutler Road, right? That entire length of that area is going to go through the design phase. We're going to design that project again. Remember that theme? Complete streets. The lighting, drainage, bus pull-out bays. I don't know if that one has any traffic circles. It might have, as I mentioned earlier, Marlin and Gulfstream. I need to look at the plans there because that calls for it there. But again, that's part of the study that they're doing the design. So what the design team does, they'll get the master plans. Okay, wait, we said we're going to do this. Now we can incorporate it. So that project, the design is fully funded through grants. As I mentioned before, one of the funding that we received through a federal appropriation a year ago through Congresswoman Salazar's office was $4.4 million towards the construction. Guys, we haven't even designed it yet. So everybody received it. That's how aggressive we are chasing the money, the $4.4 million for Marlin Road there. So that's going to be another one. As you see, since our incorporation, start checking the boxes. Major roadways, award-winning project. Caribbean Boulevard, minus the J, right? Award-winning project. Franjo Road, check the box, funded, right? Getting ready to go under construction. And then Marlin Road. Those are all our major corridors that we have, you know, along town of Cutler Bay. And in between all that, we actually received 4 awards for our roadway projects that we've received. Just I think it was like a couple weeks ago, right? Our public works director was recognized in the entire state for 4 different projects. One of them was Saga Bay 1.5 sub-basins, the Saga Bay drainage project that we received an award. This is something that the rest of the public works director in the entire state voted on how we've done the project, best management practices that we've done. Whispering Pines, if you've gone by Whispering Pines Park, that whole area there, right, where we have our 4th of July parade, that whole area has been redesigned for better safety. And then we also had in the Whispering Pines was the design team and the contractor. So we have been recognized amongst our peers for different type of roadway projects. So I don't know if there's any questions online yet. Okay, so some upcoming events. As I mentioned before in the council meeting, I think the mayor, today's Thursday or Wednesday? Wednesday? Wednesday, okay, tomorrow morning, the mayor's on a plane to DC, and I'll be on a plane on Friday to start lobbying for some of these projects with our congresswoman up there and other different officials regarding the Bel Air Park. Okay, one of our appropriations that we requested is $560,000 for the Bel Air Park building. If you've seen that building over there, it's a little red sticker, right? It's unsafe. You know, it's interesting when you sit there and you look at the 44% rule, right? When you sit there and you look at that building, like, hey, how come the sun's coming in? Well, because the roof is separating. So we had to actually close that building down. And the Palmetto Raiders, the football team, is now playing at Lakes by the Bay Park. So they have been relocated for a couple of years. So we're seeking funding to replace that building, $560,000, you know, and then we'll match the rest. Another appropriation received through Congressman Salazar's office was $1 million for the Saga Bay community. Remember back a couple of years ago when we were on the news, 26 inches of rain in Saga Bay, and folks who were like almost knee high in their garage with all the water, and it just kept coming and coming and coming, and we're out there pumping and pumping and pumping. Just imagine if you live in the Saga Bay community, the actual lake was going like this, because the groundwater was saturated. It happened to be, and we have a snapshot there if you ever want to come by my office where the Channel 10 is like 26.12 inches in Cutler Bay. I'm like, what? How do you treat that? Right? And that's with a drainage system. You know, so we received $1 million to put, believe it or not, a big pipe from the lake across the street to wetlands that are dying because they're not getting enough hydration. So we received $1 million for that. So that's something that we're working on with our friends from Miami County, Durham, as well as the Saga Bay community to try to figure out how to do that. I mean, what are the odds 26 inches going to fall right in that same neighborhood? You know, again, they call it a 100-year storm, but it's happened every 5 years, right? It looks like. So we're dealing with that. As I mentioned before, our Wings Over the Bay, May 18th from 6 to 8. Come out, participate in the event, but at the same time, you could come and see what we're trying to do with, remember I mentioned the 8.5 acres that we own and the 53 acres property that South Florida will manage. There's 2 different public input information sessions that we have there. I know my staff wrote here, free STEM summer camp. Free STEM summer camp. So if you have children within 6th to 8th grade, please go and visit our online. It's a free summer camp for 6 weeks. They go through a robotics camp. It's held in this room. and they go through Carnegie Mellon. They get badges, but they actually have some really great educational field trips. And guys, 4-letter word, free. Free. Can't get any better than that, free. Now that's funded through the Children's Trust through a $185,000 grant as well. Yeah, Roger fired. All right, that's it. Don't worry. It's last day today. Don't worry.
No, I like.
Don't worry. He's turning red now. Don't worry. No, I didn't notice that. I just saw summer camp. I think I know those kids. All right, and then obviously the next one's going to be our 4th of July golf cart event at Whispering Pines Park. On the new, repaved, resurfaced brick paver drainage improvement project that we did on Whispering Pines Park. So if you visit that park, you'll see some of those items there. So I don't know if there's any more folks online. Oh, wait, I see a signal.
There was one question that just popped up. When is the next food truck event at the Cutler Ridge Park?
Well, I know it's not going to be 2021 because he can't tell me 2021 again, But I can tell you in terms of food trucks, it's something interesting. As you recall the design for Town Hall, we're actually designing a piece there for food trucks, for that. So, I mean, again, it's not going to be like a everyday thing, right? I mean, I think it's just, in order to have a food truck in Cutler Bay, you have to have like what's called a special event permit, right? Because if not, you have a permanent food truck at Rouse Amico, right? And I'm a true believer that you have to protect the businesses that are paying the lease, right? Food trucks are food trucks, but you'll see them not as permanent throughout, like a fixture that these folks are like taking off the tires and right next to the side of a gas station. You're not going to see that because our code doesn't allow that. So you'll see in our town hall, we will have some of those type of events. Because if you've been to some of our events, and I know the Vice Mayor, Councilman Ramirez, and I know Luis Santos, school board members, there's times that those food trucks have run out of food, guys. What a problem to have. That we have over 4,000 or 5,000 people that business run out of food. So I think that's something that we'll work with in terms of next one. Because I know we had a couple series in the winter time at Cutler Ridge Park. I think Friday nights, right? I think we had that. Yes, sir, Kevin.
For my daughter, when is Crumble gonna open? And any new restaurants coming?
When is what can open?
Crumble.
What's Crumble?
It's over 184th. It's a cookie thing or something, right? At 184th and that public shop.
Yeah, it's like they have open falls. It's like these.
Yeah.
Like really expensive, but they're like really good.
Oh, okay.
I've been there.
Is that on the 184 Publix?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. We'll make some calls. I don't know. Hopefully it's not our fault that we're holding up a permit. I hope not. No, I don't know. But usually we'll get those calls. But I could tell you, let's talk about the new Publix, right? I mean, I know it's hot topics, but this is kind of still hot topic, right? About a lot of the empty storefronts, right, on Publix. I could tell you that we've met with the leasing agent. And there's been a lot of movement and a lot of activities and just kind of stay tuned. In fact, I actually challenged the folks from Publix to see if they come to either our May or June council meeting and just kind of report to the council and the community as a whole of what they're planning on and what's coming and what they have leased out as well. So you'll start seeing some of those things start filling up. But we've actually challenged them because if you recall, the public site plan, it was very, very specific, a great decision by my bosses, right? Commercial plug, right? Where we said it has to be either restaurant or retail, right? The buildings that are there, the two buildings there, restaurant or retail, okay, on the site plan. If it's something different, you got to come to this podium and ask for a site plan modification, okay? Number one. Number two, there's two buildings that are missing, right? The Marlin Road or Cutler, where it says Publix, there's an empty field there, a little empty field. And there's one just, I'll call it the AT&T store, right? You got the AT&T store, you got bookends, right? There are empty fields there, right? Those, based on the condition was placed on the council, very wisely said, when Publix opens up and gets a certificate of use, another bureaucratic acronym, that those two buildings must be built within 2 years. Guys, that clock already started. That clock's already started. And I don't care if they're empty, but they got to be built, right? Because economics will tell you it's not going to be empty forever, right? So it's there, and I can tell you all the times that we have actually the entire council, myself, trying to recruit, restaurants. Back in the day, we would sit there and say, Publix is coming, here's the shops, and it was like Field of Dreams, right? You see a bunch of, cane grass. Now you can see the actual building, say, hey, call this leasing agent. In fact, I have Adriana, who's a leasing agent, on speed dial. So myself and the community development are actually constantly trying to recruit and see what's a good mix. So that's why when you mentioned the cookie place, I'm like, wait, I didn't hear that name over there, but there are some stuff coming that way too, and that shopping center that will complement what's going on next door with our property as well. But I'll find out. Crump, right?
Crumple.
Crumple. Yeah,
It's not spelled with a D.
Okay, got it. All right. So I think he's a cookie expert here. So I'm gonna lean on.
No.
I'm gonna lean on Councilman Ramirez there. Oh, there you go. All right. So yeah, I have to have Councilman Ramirez do some homework and give some intel there. Let me see. All right. Well, listen. If there's any other questions, do we have any questions online?
Are you looking at?
No. I mean, this is one of the, I love this type of meeting, this type of style, this type of exchange. I mean, I know it was going to stop at 7:30, but we're on a roll, man. Just keep it going, So again, on behalf of the mayor and town council, some of the members that are here and the rest are watching online, thank you. We love that feedback. There's some takeaways that we're going to have. We're going to see some of our friends, tomorrow. We talked about the J. We talked about, everybody knows about the J now, right? And everybody knows about complete streets, so there's a lot of different things going on. Again, if you think about other questions, please just give us a call. Put it out there, 786-573-5518. We gotta get like a cool number, like 76 Ralph or something, right? I don't know, but we'll get that number out. And again, just come to town hall, give us a call. And on behalf of the Mayor and Town Council, thank you for coming. I love the exchange. Look forward to more of these meetings. I think the next one is gonna be August 26th at 6 p.m. will be our next one. But again, don't have to wait for that. Just come by, ask for Ralph or give us a call. But, thank you everyone and have a great night.